Think about your morning routine for a second. If you are anything like me, you wake up, hit snooze at least twice.
But maybe 3 times.
Yeah, let's be honest, probably 3 times. And you eventually drag your feet out of bed and shuffle toward the bathroom.
Right.
You flick on that harsh overhead light, and there it is, your reflection in the mirror. And what is the very first thing going through your mind in that split second?
Usually nothing very kind.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
I usually start this whole mental inventory, checking the dark circles under my eyes, noticing a new wrinkle, maybe stressing about my hair, just generally bracing myself for the sheer exhaustion of the day ahead.
It is such a mundane, ordinary ritual.
It really is. And honestly, it is usually pretty critical. But today, we are exploring a concept that flips that entire script. We're drawing on a profoundly insightful piece titled, "Your Morning Mirror is Lying to You," which is rooted in Zen wisdom.
It is a beautiful perspective.
It's fascinating. So the mission for our deep dive today is to unpack this. We want to see how that highly critical, everyday act of looking at our own reflection can actually be transformed into, well, the most profound moment of your entire day.
What stands out immediately is how this approach takes the most ordinary environment imaginable. A slightly damp bathroom, a smudged piece of glass, and it treats it as an ancient puzzle.
Yeah, not just a place to brush your teeth.
Exactly. It asks us to stop using the mirror as a grooming tool or even as some sort of psychological tool to build self-esteem. The invitation is to see it as a gateway, a place to completely unravel the constructed sense of identity we carry around with us.
Unraveling the identity. I want to start with the timing of this because there is a very specific atmosphere being described here. Let's paint the picture for everyone listening.
It is a very quiet picture.
It is. It's 5:47 in the morning. The house is completely silent. Outside, the sky is in that strange, heavy breath between night and day. You step out of bed, your feet hit the cold wood floor, and the bed behind you is still warm with the ghost of your sleep. And before you even reach the bathroom, there's something magical happening in that brief walk down the hallway.
In those first few moments of waking before the brain fully boots up, you are not yet you.
That is such a wild thought.
But it is true. Identity isn't a permanent, solid fixture. It is something we put on every single morning, almost like a heavy winter coat. At 5:47 in the morning, you haven't put the coat on yet.
You're just walking down the hall.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have no story wrapped around your shoulders. You have no title pinned to your chest. There is no running to-do list, no looming sense of yesterday's failures, and no anxiety about tomorrow's meetings. You are simply bare, unadorned presence. Think of it like dew on a blade of grass before the morning sun rises to name it water. It just is.
Dew on a blade of grass before the sun names it water. That is a stunning way to capture that feeling. I often think of it like my computer waking up from sleep mode.
How so?
Well, for a few seconds, the screen is just glowing blankly.
How's that?
Peaceful, right? And then suddenly, boom, all the messy tabs and the alarming emails load in all at once.
That is exactly the modern equivalent.
And the problem is, we usually hate that blank state. We rush right past it. We flick the bathroom lights on, splash cold water on our face, and instantly start judging the person staring back at us. We look at the mirror. But the wisdom here suggests we are doing it all wrong.
We are looking at it instead of through it.
Right. We should be treating the mirror as a threshold.
By treating the mirror as a threshold, you are actively choosing not to let your mind stitch together the illusion of "I just yet." Most people completely miss this window. They miss the space before recognition.
Because we are so quick to find ourselves in the glass.
Yes, when you look at the mirror to check your hair or criticize your tired eyes, you are reinforcing a boundary. You are saying, "I am on this side and the world is on the other." Looking through the mirror is about accessing a stillness that doesn't need to be earned or fixed.
For anyone listening, just imagine how drastically that could change the tone of your entire morning. Instead of starting the day with a frantic race against the clock or a critique of your physical flaws, you give yourself this sacred window to just exist. No agenda.
It changes everything.
But I have to admit, standing in front of a mirror and trying not to judge myself sounds incredibly difficult. The concept refers to the mirror in this moment as a koan. Now, I have heard that word thrown around in pop culture, usually to mean a confusing riddle. Can we break down what a koan actually is in this context?
In the West, we do tend to reduce koans to brain teasers, like a puzzle you can solve if you just think hard enough. But a true Zen koan is the exact opposite of that.
It's not a puzzle to solve.
No, It is designed to exhaust the logical, analytical mind. It is a wall to walk into again and again until the wall becomes the path. It unravels the person asking the question. So when you stand before the glass in that quiet dawn, the mirror is silently asking you a koan. Who standing here?
Who is standing here? And my immediate reflex is to answer with my resume. I am a host. I am a parent. I am someone who needs to lose 5 pounds.
We all do that.
But the answer to the mirror's question is not the person you showed the world yesterday. And it is definitely not the idealized version of yourself you hope to become tomorrow. It is just this raw, blinking creature standing in pajamas.
Exactly.
And this brings us to a concept that completely caught me off guard. This practice is not about self-improvement. It is not about self-love. It is not even about self-awareness. It's about something called self-forgetting.
Self-forgetting. We are deeply conditioned by modern culture to believe we always need to be improving, fixing, or at least deeply psychoanalyzing ourselves.
Always optimizing.
Always. The mandate is always to build a better self. Self-forgetting goes in the entirely opposite direction. In that suspended second before your inner critic wakes up to whisper that you look aging or inadequate, there is no separation. There is no you looking at yourself. There is just pure seeing.
Pure seeing.
Yes. By standing there, entirely empty of an agenda, no performing, no comparing, you stop trying to become someone and you finally allow yourself to be no one.
I'll be honest, being no one sounds terrifying to my ego. If I am no one, then what am I doing with my life? What about all my ambitions and my carefully curated personality?
It feels like a loss at first.
It does, but it is framed here as the ultimate liberation. Because the moment you drop the heavy, exhausting baggage of being you, you are subtly connected to absolutely everything else.
The illusion of a separate solid self is the very thing creating a barrier between you and the rest of the world. When you experience that state of no-oneness, you touch the everywhere.
Touching everywhere.
You realize you are no longer separate from the morning light falling softly through the window pane. You are not separate from the low hum of the refrigerator down the hall. The silence holding you in that bathroom is the exact same silence that held you before you were born.
Wow.
It shifts your perspective from being an isolated, anxious object trapped in a room to being an integrated, seamless part of the entire environment.
That brings to mind a story that perfectly illustrates this grounding effect. It's about Master Zhaozu, a famous Zen figure from the 9th century.
A classic story.
Right, so a very eager, probably overly intellectual student comes up to the master and asks, what is the meaning of the Buddha's teaching? This student is basically begging for the ultimate cosmic truth, the secret to the universe.
Searching for something grand.
Exactly. And Master Zhaozu just looks at them and asks, have you eaten your rice porridge? The student, probably a bit confused, says, yes, I have. And the master replies, then go wash your bowl.
There is no grand philosophy in that response. There is no esoteric cosmic revelation, just eat, wash, be here.
Be here.
We do the exact same thing as that eager student every single morning. You stare into the bathroom mirror, your mind racing, searching for meaning or clarity or a sign that you are on the right path in life. And the universe simply whispers back, did you brush your teeth?
I love the humor in that. You look at the mirror, agonizing over your life choices, and the universe says, did you brush your teeth? You say, not yet. And the universe says, then go brush them.
It is deeply practical.
It completely punctures that self-important bubble we live in. We tend to think that enlightenment or profound peace is something you have to travel to a silent retreat in the mountains to find, or you have to read 100 books. But the sacred is actually right there in the toothbrush bristles. It is in the minty foam on your lips.
We often trap ourselves by believing awakening is an event reserved for saints on metaphorical mountain peaks. Awakening happens in the doing, when the doing is done with your full, undivided attention.
Undivided attention.
It is the bar of soap slipping from your hand in the shower. It is the steam slowly fogging up the glass. In that unremarkable moment, when you reach for a towel and temporarily forget you even have a body because you are just pure motion and warmth, that is the secret. Washing your face becomes a ritual. Tying your shoes becomes a meditation. Making your morning coffee becomes a prayer.
Not because making coffee is inherently mystical, but because you are finally fully present while doing it. You aren't in yesterday's regrets or tomorrow's anxieties. You are just pouring water over beans.
Yes.
But let's bring it back to the mirror, because there is a second koan introduced here that goes even deeper.
Yes.
You have washed your face, you lean into the glass, you look at the lines around your eyes, and the mirror asks another silent question. Show me your original face, the one you had before your parents were born.
That is a profound question to sit with. Showing your original face today requires a radical stripping away of all modern labels. Think about everything you used to define yourself.
There's so many layers.
You have to strip away the job title, strip away the social media bio, strip away the heavy, sometimes suffocating roles we carry. Parent, employee, friend, failure, success. If you mentally peel all of those layers away, what actually remains standing in front of the sink?
My instinct is to say nothing remains. If I am not my job, and I am not my relationships, and I am not my past, I feel like I disappear.
That is the fear of the ego speaking.
Yeah, but the answer isn't nothingness. It is just awareness.
Woo!
Clear, open, unburdened awareness. And the twist is that you do not find this awareness by walking away from the mirror in frustration. You find it by staring right into it, until the boundary between the person seeing and the thing being seen dissolves.
Look at this through the lens of biology and our place in the ecosystem. The space where you think you end and the rest of the world begins is purely a mental illusion.
A mental illusion.
The breath currently expanding your lungs came from trees. The water making up your physical body evaporated from oceans and fell from clouds. Even your deepest thoughts, your vocabulary, your internal monologue, those were built from conversations you overheard as a child, from books written by people long dead.
We are just a collection of everything around us.
There really is no solid, independent, permanent self sitting behind your eyes. There is only a flowing river of causes and conditions that is temporarily taking the shape of you.
A flowing river temporarily taking the shape of you. That is a staggering thought. It completely changes what a reflection is.
How do you see it changing?
Well, the mirror only reflects the temporary shape. It cannot reflect the source. So when you look in the mirror and you feel a swell of pride about how you look, or more likely a pang of disappointment, you aren't actually seeing yourself. You are just seeing a story you have been told about yourself. You are seeing society's beauty standard, your parents' expectations, your own harsh judgments.
There is a classic parable of a teacup that illustrates this trap perfectly. A Zen master holds up a cup of tea in front of his students. He says, if you call this a cup, you cling to form. If you say it is not a cup, you deny function. What is it then?
Okay, let me try to puzzle through that. If I look at the cup and just say, it's a cup, I am limiting it. I am ignoring the clay it is made of, the fire that baked it, the hands that molded it. I'm just slapping a label on it and moving on. I am clinging to form.
Precisely.
But if I get all philosophical and say, there is no cup, it is just an illusion of clay, then I cannot drink my tea. I am denying its function. I'm stuck.
The student in the story is stuck too. He stays completely silent. The master, without saying a word, simply lifts the cup and drinks the tea.
He just drinks it.
It is the perfect demonstration of the middle way. Applying this to your reflection, if you look in the mirror and call that specific arrangement of features you trap yourself in a rigid, fragile identity. You cling to form.
Right.
But if you look at the mirror and try to detach completely, saying, that is not me at all, I am just pure spirit, you are rejecting the absolute miracle of having a physical body. You deny function.
Because you still have to drink the tea. You
Yeah.
still have to brush your teeth and go to work.
Oh, yeah.
So what is the reflection then? If it is not me, but it is also not me.
The mirror is simply a doorway.
A doorway. And there's a very practical exercise we can use to actually step through that doorway tomorrow morning. It is called the surrender exercise.
It is very simple, yet very powerful.
The next time you are standing before the glass, don't move. Don't fix your posture. Don't try to suck in your stomach or adjust your hair or wipe away the sleep. Just breathe. And
Yep.
with every single exhale, let go of one label you have placed on yourself.
It functions as a process of mental decluttering. You stand there and a thought arises. I look so tired today. On the exhale, you simply let that thought go.
Let it go.
Another thought follows. I am not doing enough with my life. Let it go. I should be further along in my career by now. Let it go. You continuously release these heavy narratives. Eventually, all that is left is the raw sensation of the breathing itself, the cool air entering the nose, the warm air leaving. And if you stay with it, even that dissolves, leaving only the mirror, the morning light, and the unfiltered present moment.
It is described almost like sugar dissolving in warm tea. The you that is stressed and burdened dissolves. You aren't destroyed. You are just returned to a quiet baseline hum of being. When you practice this self-surrender, your entire relationship with your reflection fundamentally shifts. You stop fighting your own life. You start reframing the things you previously categorized as flaws.
The reframing is where the deep healing happens. When you let go of the ego's agenda, the wrinkles around your eyes are no longer signs of aging that need to be hidden with expensive creams. They become physical records of joy and laughter.
Records of joy.
Those tired, baggy eyes aren't a weakness or a failure. They are quiet witnesses to the late-night love and care you have given to your children, your friends, or your passions. The ordinary face becomes a canvas displaying 1,000 unseen acts of daily courage.
It changes the most fundamental question we ask ourselves when we wake up. Normally, we lean into the glass, scrutinize our face, and ask, "Do I look okay?" That is a question entirely rooted in judgment, anxiety, and a desperate need for external validation.
It is a heavy question to carry every morning.
The suggestion here is to replace it with a much simpler question. You look into the mirror and ask, "Am I here?"
Am I here?
And if the answer is yes, even for a split second, then you have already awakened. You don't need to wait until tomorrow. You don't need to wait until you lose 10 pounds or get a promotion or figure your life out. You are awake right now, in the steam, in the silence of the bathroom.
Let's follow this to its ultimate realization. When the one who is looking disappears, when the critic drops away, what actually remains in that space?
Most people would guess nothing.
The assumption is that if you remove the ego, you are left with a cold, empty void. But emptiness, in this context, is not an absence. It is not a loss. Emptiness is actually fullness. Think of the space inside a beautifully crafted bronze bell.
The space inside the bell.
The inside of the bell is entirely empty, yet that very emptiness is what holds the potential for every single resonant sound it can make. If the bell were stuffed full, it would be silent.
That is such a powerful image. Our minds are usually stuffed full of anxieties and labels, so we cannot ring, we cannot resonate. And here is where it gets truly mind-bending. When the steam on the mirror fades and the morning light shifts across the room, and maybe you hear a bird call outside the window, you realize something profound. The face in the mirror was never separate from the sky beyond it.
You are connected to all of it.
The realization is this: you are not in the universe. You are the universe, looking back at itself through two eyes that forgot they were stars.
It sounds like pure poetry, but it is grounded in literal physics. We are carbon, nitrogen, oxygen. We are forged in the hearts of dying stars. We are literally the universe experiencing itself. The morning ritual of standing at the sink was never truly about grooming. It was always about remembering that you are not a problem to be solved before you leave the house. You are a mystery to be lived.
So, if that is true, what is the actual point of the mirror? Because the ultimate twist of this entire philosophy is that the truth isn't actually in the mirror at all. The enlightenment does not live inside the glass.
It doesn't.
The true moment of awakening is in the turning away. It is reaching out, turning off the bathroom light, and stepping back out into the dark hallway. You step out not carrying a heavy story about who you are or what you lack, but just feeling the cold floor against your bare feet and the smooth metal of the doorknob in your hand. The enlightenment is in turning the faucet, making the coffee, and just living your messy, beautiful day.
The mirror simply waits. It is neutral. It will faithfully show you whatever you are willing to project onto it. But the grace of the morning is realized when you stop obsessively searching for meaning or validation in the reflection. You simply step into the living of your life, carrying the quiet knowledge that you are already whole. You do not need to be fixed. You are already home.
It is such a grounding, deeply peaceful perspective. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you listening with a final thought to mull over today, building on everything we've just unpacked. We have talked deeply about how letting go of your story in the mirror connects you to the entire universe. The trees in your breath, the clouds in your water, the stardust in your bones.
The flowing river.
But think about what happens after you walk out of the bathroom and leave your house. If your own reflection is just the universe temporarily taking the shape of you, then who are the cashiers, the annoying coworkers, and the random strangers you will interact with today? If they're also just the universe looking back at itself, carrying their own heavy coats of identity, how does that change the way you look at them? Are they just other mirrors? And when you look into those mirrors today, what exactly do you want to reflect back? Something to chew on the next time you catch a stranger's eye. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you next time.